Okay. We'll do it this way right here. It's a 6 horsepower McCormick Deering Type M engine. And the valve was worn out in it. This is not my head right here. I'm just going to fix it. It's my part of it. And I seen the engine it was off of. It's all complete. Should run with these 2 new valves in there. But to, kind of explain to you how it goes about, how I did it. Just one of 3 or 4 different ways that I've done it. But up to now, this is what we're working with. These are the 2 valves that was in there. And this is the exhaust spring, keeper pin, and little cast iron thing right there. That's original right there. And the intake over here, it's got this, kind of looks like it was off of a car or something, but it's a pressed metal type thing and a cross pin. But that was for the intake. And I think the intake on this engine was threaded. So I don't think that's original. But this is the valves. So what I have just did, where I'm at this point, I'll show you something. I water brushed the end of these tires off, and there's no cracks or they're in good condition. And the reason I tell you that is I actually put this clamp on there, tightened it up in the procedure I did, and I'll show you what I did. But looking at the head, kind of straight on, this is what we're working with, 6 horsepower igniter engine. It do have some, it needs one on it. That governor thing right there, it's that pot metal, and it's deteriorated badly. It sure do need one on there, but I don't know anything about you making them right now. So, but the engine to run with this one right here, okay. You have to be careful with it, don't get it broken any more than it is. But I just put together them standoffs there to make it easy to work on. But you can see there that pile of cast iron drillings. And what I did, if I know what I'm talking about, maybe, possibility, something I found out about these stuff, is the castings don't register with everything. It'll be thicker on this side and thinner on this side. Right here's a good example. Well, those holes down in them valve stem holes, they're not centered on the casting. So that was my main concern about enlarging them, because they break either here or on this side. But it managed to do this one successfully. And I think the addition of that support there could have helped. But this being the valve this is the exhaust, would have been down here, and this is intake, would have been up here. And the intake is worn and has been ground seat to the point where you can't grind it no more. It's all the way to the top. Stem's rusted, it's no good. Can't use that valve. And this one over here, you can tell it's been hot. Whoa, this engine's been hot. And you can see that it has been leaking exhaust over yonder, and that's probably the reason it got hot. But it's been that kind of hot. You can see it build up a carbon pile right there. that's the flow of that gas, you know. Now, that's the reason you want to index your spark plugs. Right there is a perfect example of flame front. You know, if you're inside a building and a gasoline explosion happens down at the end of the building, you want to be standing behind a pillar. You know, it don't just goes all at once, it comes to you. So that's the thinking behind that index and the spark plug. But and this confirms it right here, the flow of that gas is going out of there. You know. But it was over here, and that valve is, well, it's not usable either. Rusted really bad and worn a lot. And the nominal size on them is 7/16, which would have been this right here. And so on immediately, I set in 2 new aftermarket valves, internet buy, that was supposed to be for a 6 horsepower M, and this is what I got. This is the intake, and this is exhaust. Well, the exhaust is going to be too little once you cut the seat in there, because this seat down here is mushroomed out so much on this side over here where that gas has been, it was sideways in there, wore this side over here crooked. And it worn away there. It's not straight, it's crowned up. So we have to cut that seat to fit. And this valve over here is way too big for that hole. So even if you cut that bigger, it still wouldn't fit. They're just not right. But we have that to work with. Somebody else made them valves, so I'm going to make 2 valves for this engine. So what I've done is I went over to the lathe, put a piece of aluminum in there, that's that 6061, and I turned this chunk of metal right here. It's got a hole in there that fits this drill bit. So I can put that drill bit down through there and use this as a guide. So what I done did is I put that down in that hole right there, and I put that drill bit down in yonder, and I took that I took this drill right here, and I drilled that hole out down in there, from one end to the other. That hole's that's 4 1/4. That valve guide's 4 1/4 inches long. Well, we'll see what that is right there. Let's put this thing down in there. Okay. It's 4 5/8. 4 5/8 is deep on that one. Let's see on that other one. Oh, it's a little less. Okay, it's about the same. So that's a pretty long valve guide. And this engine came out with just a drilled fitted valve guide cast iron, which makes a good valve guide. But and then I put this over here, and it's really a good fit. And I put that drill down in yonder, and I drilled that one out all the way through down yonder. Hence all of this metal work down here. So I do know this is for a 6 horsepower McCormick Deere M. I'll label it as such. What I have ended up with, after a little bit of finessing, is this is going to be this is A620 steel, and this is going to be the valve stem. And the fit I have ended up with is, oh, it's really good. And these will be the valve stems. So this is the point where we're at now. This one has to be threaded, cut to length, and then a shoulder turned on it. This one will have to be drilled for the cross pin, and cut the length and a shoulder on it. The reason for the shoulder is, I show you. I made these over on that Grizzly lathe. It's 8620 steel. I think it'd be the perfect valve head. But it's contoured there and it's got a 45-degree on it. And the whole amount of this is made oversized because I'll have to cut the seat in order to measure across that way to the center, to the seat, so that I will know, at that point I'll know what size to turn this valve to fit that. But it'll go right there. And this one will go over here. And once they're cut off, this one's oversized. I'll take these to the bandsaw and saw that off right there is what we'll do with them. But we got 2 valve blanks and we got 2 stems. Now the hole in the stem, the hole in the valve head, this will be in here like this. That's going to be our valve right there. I'm going to press fit the shoulder that I turn on this valve stem will be a couple thousand bigger than this right here. So that I can press that on there down to that shoulder. At that point, I'll brad the end over, pin it, secure it after a press fit, a pin over, and then I'm planning on running a well bead there. Yeah, I think we'll be good to go. But that's going to be our valves. This will be the same thing. I'll cut that off right there, and we'll work in that. This being the stem for it. There'll be a little shoulder there, and I'll press that down to that bottoms out. Well, that'll line everything up like that. So the important part, and I'll put this in the 4-jaw chuck over. I ain't got a collet for that. I should have. Anyways, I'll true this up there and then turn the shoulder on it, so that'll register true to the stem. And then we'll turn this finish, and then we'll put in a valve grinder over there and grind the seat on it. The hold up on the project while I'm doing that is I done got this thing right here. This thing costs a lot of money. You know, if you're going to do something, you have to have the tool. But the missing part here is, and I could make one, but it's a 46 and a 31. 31 degrees on this side and 46 over here. So I'm going to cut this valve seat at 46, and then I'm going to cut the face on this at 45 degrees, right on it. So, oh yeah, it's 2 1/4. But the part I don't have is there's a, I think that's a 375 maybe. I believe what that top is. But I'll probably have to get expanding arbor. But I have to have a guide. I have to have that thing you put down in there and put this on there and turn this, you know. So I have to get some measurements up and get that on order tomorrow. Yeah, that'll work. But, you know, to leave you where we at is, you know, it's kind of basically right here. You know, we just put all that together there, we'd be good to go. I'll probably use that's fine thread. So now let's get on with it. Well, the pilot, that's 46 degrees down that way right there. But you have to have a pilot. Their precision, it would look like this right here. I done went and made this one here over on my lathe. And it goes down in here like this right here. And you put that tight, goes in that bore. And then you put this down in here on here like this right here. And you take that tool and you turn that around and around and around. And you turn that seat right there. Well, I did make a preliminary cut with this one that I made. And it probably would be all right to use that. But you know, my thinking, if it's off half a thousandth or so on my part, on my lathe over there, that I would rather wait on the job. And I ordered a pilot to go down in there and be able to use this thing right here with the correct tooling. So it's on back order. She said it possibly be 3 weeks on back order. So I'm gonna wait on that. I feel I do a better job. You know, I have this, which is, it's about good as you can get. So you might as well to have a pilot that maybe they're within 0.0005 or something down there, like way down there. So if this is a thousandths, then that means that seat, if it telescopes that 4 over there, you know, it'll be 2-3 thousandths. So you try to eliminate all possible, do the best job you can. So I'm gonna wait on that pilot. Now we'll go ahead and work on them valves. But what I was studying on today is, that's that Doug Thornhill engine right there. That's that 8620 right there, 2.5 inches crossways. And I thought I might make a valve head out of that 8620.